on Weekend Express. We also have Peter Amunga, who joins us as a political analyst. Many thanks for joining us, Peter. And as usual, every Saturday, lawyer Nelson Harvey joining us for in-depth political analysis. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us in studio. So let's begin with us making headlines on the dailies this morning, and we begin with the Saturday Standard. On the front page there, Uhuru Raila allies lined up for State House seats, and this is with regard to the list given by both Uhuru and Raila for their preferred parliamentary nominees. We'll be getting to that in just a minute. But also on the front page of the Standard, survey predicts presidential runoff. According to Infotrack, if an election was held today, there could be a possible runoff. So let's begin with page 2 of the Standard this morning. Jubilee and NASA divided over ballot printing. This is still making headlines on the dailies this morning. We've seen court cases going on. As it stands, Jubilee and IBC say there will be a constitutional crisis if that tender is cancelled. Peter, let me begin with you. With regard to this tender, there's been a lot of talk of timelines to the elections. We don't have much time. What is your take on the direction the country should take with this ballot printing tender?
What's coming in the minds of many Kenyans is we now have less than 40 days to go. And with less than 40 days to go, we can't afford to play games. This country is bigger than all of us. And so my take is that we have already rolled off. The Constitution is clear. The election must be held on 8th of August this year. So we should just keep going ahead. We can't keep going looking backwards.
But what does it mean to go ahead? Because it seems to be a catch-22 situation there. The opposition, NASA, says we can't go to an election just because the election has been set. Everything must be right on the ground. On the other hand, Jubilee says NASA's allegations are just unfounded. Yes, and
you see, Michelle, at the end of the day, when you look at it, the printing of ballot papers, especially for candidates for the parliamentary seats or for MCA seats or for the Senate for that matter, or even for governor, those ones have almost no issue. The problem actually which you see is actually to do with the presidential ballot papers. That's where the problem comes. But I think as we speak already, we have been informed that ballot printing for the other seats, the parliamentary, the senatorial, and all other seats is going on. So I tend to think, for this, I give the IBC kudos. Let us keep moving forward. We can't keep playing games around.
All right. Captain, would you rather that a different firm prints the ballot papers for the presidential race? And if that is the case, wouldn't that further complicate the logistics?
Well, not really, Michelle, in the sense that we are seeing a situation where our electoral reform process is not yet up to what we expect. We are time-bound, and still we are having these kind of complications coming at this point. The reality is we are talking about a general election, which is a calendar event in our Constitution. So we expected a lot of preparation, an all-inclusive process, and a very independent approach to our electoral process, knowing very well that we had all this time, but we are becoming a reactionary country, that we start putting our acts together in the last minute. And this is why we are experiencing this kind of situations, very embarrassing situation. Well, it's never too late, because some school of thought has it that the ballot papers can be printed within 7 days to the election date. We are talking about a credible, free and fair elections. It can be only free and fair and credible when the partisan, or rather the contenders, are all accepting the referee. Given this kind of a situation, I think we need to redress this and come up with an immediate solution where we really all agree on the system of having the ballot papers printed. It's not about the ballot paper. It is about the credibility of the tender. When one side suspects the other to be partisan, in the sense that it has got some interest, some influence within the tender award, and the company that is per se now, the Dubai company per se now, printing the ballot papers, I think this is going to be a very serious omission, and it is a clear indication that it is not going to be free and fair.
Right.
The sentiments registered by NASA and the complaint is not about the company being awarded the tender per se. It is about the partisan hand involved in doing some business transaction directly or indirectly with this company, and the same label names are also contenders in this general election.
All right. Wakili Harvey, what options do we have now as a country for the IEBC, for NASA, for Jubilee, and for the electorate in this ballot printing case?
It's not proper for Jubilee or IEBC to claim that there will be a constitutional crisis, because this is a journey whose movement has been derailed by those two individuals. They have booby-trapped it, they have put landmines. Now, when a key player in the election contest says we need to remove the landmines and the booby traps before we travel, you cannot say that time is of essence, that we must just travel and reach the destination. You will not reach the destination. But I think more importantly, without second-guessing the outcome of the decision that the court is likely to make Friday next week, it's most likely that the court will throw away this case by NASA. Reason being, the main complaint is public participation. Yet, in actual fact, what ought to have been the center stage of this litigation is to indicate the impropriety in the manner in which Al Ghurair was procured for this ballot tender. But in any event, with the timeframes that we have seen, whatever the outcome of the court, should the court annul this contract, it cannot be said that there wouldn't be sufficient time for the printing of the ballot boxes insofar as it relates to the presidential election. And if the court does not annul the contract, then it's most likely Al Ghurair will go on with the printing. There will not be any constitutional crisis, in my estimation.
All right. Let's have your final comments on this, Amunga.
Yes. Kenyans, we have to move forward. We can't afford to play these games. We can't afford. Nothing is perfect. There is always one or two issues you can always question in everything that comes up in this.
Because that's the thing, it's such a tight race. So the question is, will there be any point where neither of the parties feel that one of the parties is being partisan?
Well, I don't know, but my friend, the lawyer here, I don't know what he'll say about this. But the truth of the matter is, we saw what happened in the U.S. elections the other day. It was a tight race. But again, after the whole thing, you will hear there was the Russian this interference and all these things. These things are always there in any election. We expect, even if it's 100% how, even if Jesus himself came and became the IEBC chairman, I am sure one or two people will come and complain. So the whole thing is we must move on.
The question is, how are we moving on? Because what will be the
aftermath?
We
have our constitution. We have our everything in place. The tendering has been done. The group that is printing has already been accepted. Why don't we just allow the process to continue, to flow?
All right, and of course that court case that ruling will be given on Friday by the court. We'll be waiting on that. Let's move on to page 3 of the paper. Just on a light note here, we have a picture here of Daisy Cherongoni, who had worked at the Kenya Airports Authority in JKA for